So next I would like to introduce Juliette, Guillot and Proulx, who will elaborate on the EHI READI initiative.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Juliette Guillot. I'm actually the project lead for READI and co-leading it with Léa. It's an honor to present you this amazing project. So READI is an innovative health initiative. It's a public-private partnership, and it's founded by the EU. And really the scope is representativeness and inclusiveness in clinical studies in Europe. Really the objective is to address inequity in clinical research and to get an holistic view of how we can make it happen. So the challenge is we know that the European population is very diverse, very different background, and people living in different places, and we want to make sure that the environment, the clinical research environment, is actually representative of the population in Europe. And we know with different data that actually it's not the case for different reasons. And our approach is to understand those barriers, to understand who are the patients who do not have access or who cannot enter clinical studies, and to make it more feasible for them, and from all stakeholders' point of view, working together to make it happen. And we know that if we don't do that, we end up with results that are not representative and that cannot be generalized to the entire population who is going to take the medication when it's on the market. So the idea of READI is really to try to improve that situation and to engage all the stakeholders in this. So the mission, as we described it, is really to reshape the clinical research ecosystem. And we know that there are people that we consider underserved and underrepresented in our studies, and we want to make sure that they can benefit from health innovations. So the consortium is very broad. We have 73 partners. We cover 18 countries. We have people from academic sites, universities, hospitals. We have also IT companies because we have a digital platform. And of course, we have 16 pharma industries. We have people working from everywhere, including the US and Brazil from the pharma side. So, but it's a European project, and we will address the need in Europe. We also have, I forgot to mention, MHRA, so we need regulatory insight to make sure that we do it the right way. So we want to go a little bit interactive, so we just ask you to take your phone and to scan the QR code and answer the first question.
So you're going to have to switch.
I can ask the question.
So you should, this is the first question.
You should have.
And you should have some choices for answer once you go with the QR code. If you haven't had the time to either take the number or the QR code, let us know and we're going to go back.
Showing the results.
I'm going to give it. Okay, a few more seconds. I know the proposed answers are quite long to read. So when I would say in 1-2 seconds, if we can start looking at the results.
Yeah,
it's very good.
So, yeah.
And then I think we have most of the answers. If we can go back to the deck, please.
So yeah, so actually underserved population are the ones who face systematic barriers cultural barriers, socioeconomic barriers, and they have a hard time to access the healthcare services. And of course, then as a consequence, they will not participate in clinical studies. But the barrier comes earlier when, for underrepresented population, it's more patients who are excluded from the inside of clinical studies, and they are disproportionately low compared to the population, who is supposed to receive the treatment. So we know in that case that our results are not representative of the disease population.
And I realized that we have a great acronym, right, READI, that you can use. Are you ready? Is everyone ready? Are we ready to tackle it? Just want to make sure that you know what READI stands for here. READI is Research, Europe, and Diversity and Inclusion. And I hope you still have your Menti open on your phone. We're going to move to the... Oh, you have... Did you do that?
I still have that one. Yeah. So... yeah, but I kind of covered it. So one of the work packages that we are working on in READI is actually to describe and really to understand who are these underserved, underrepresented populations. So we want to have characteristics, and we want to have a methodology that we can use to identify for a specific disease who are the patients we need to include, and how many of them we need to include. And we will also work on the barriers. So how do we need to know what are the barriers they are facing to enter. What we realize looking at the different databases is that actually we don't collect data on some of the characteristics, so it's difficult to know who is not in our trial. So there is one task who is actually looking at the standards and data standards, and how we will be able to actually monitor if we are improving or not. And we will also work with MHRA and EMA on all the regulatory background and how to incentivize sponsors to actually include those patients and make this additional effort to get those patients in our clinical studies.
Okay, second question. So hopefully you have your Menti back on your phone. Which of the following is most often a barrier to clinical research participation for underserved population? So the one that Juliette mentioned that are not able to get in the system when it comes to clinical trial, clinical studies. Give you a few more seconds. Can we go to the results, please? Okay, so that's pretty good. Lack of information, health literacy, mistrust, geographic limitations, human bias, restrictive study design. Can we go back to the deck? That was a correct answer. We've been hearing a lot this afternoon when it comes to challenge for people to access or get in a clinical trial. What I do want to point here is if you look at all those barriers, I think there's a pointer here, yes. Only this one, the last one, is related to the protocol. Everything else is some things that is happening before the protocol, before you start your clinical trial. So when the panel before, I think, Anne-Marie, you were the one mentioning, it's not only about the what, it's about the who. This is why it's important to have those discussions early on, even before you have your protocol. So we mentioned already all the stakeholders we have as part of READI. You have the list here on the left-hand side. What we're trying to do when it comes to READI is really develop or create, if they're lacking, this methodological approach and the tools so that the design, the conduct are the clinical studies, and that include decentralized elements of clinical trials, are supporting and addressing the barriers that are faced by those specific population, talking about the underserved, underrepresented population. And part of it you've seen on this slide, it's about enhancing the awareness and the knowledge of about who are those people that are not being offered a clinical trial, that cannot join a clinical trial, but also the awareness on the other side for those populations to understand what is a clinical trial, what is clinical research, so that people can meet somewhere in the middle. So we have information and they know where to look for information. The design, the implementation of this sharing environment, if you wish, is where the digital platform is coming in. And this is why we want that all those stakeholders to meet, I'm going to say meet in the middle together, so the discussion can be initiated. Last question. Which approach is the key to strengthen capacity for inclusive research? Can we go to the results, please? Okay, this one seems to be very almost one-sided. Clinical site capability building and community connectivity. Can we go back to the deck, please? And it was the right answer. So when it comes to clinical site capability building, so READI is from a European perspective. And this is about understanding in Europe where the clinical trial sites are, so that we can get those sites together, and we can also understand what are the competencies that may be missing, may be lacking, or need to be built up a little bit more, so that we have those clinical trials, and we allow the site to also connect with those underserved, underrepresented community. So the whole objective of this network is really to reach and engage and learn from each other, but also bring the underserved, underrepresented community as part of the discussion. And this is what we're doing with this community connectivity. So we're addressing the site on one side, but also the community. And this is where we want to bring the community together. We're calling them clusters. So this is, you have all the different stakeholders, representative from underserved, underrepresented population, and all the different communities, so that we can talk with them to understand from their perspective, what are the challenges? Where are the barriers? Where are the silos? So that we can help them proactively remove those challenges and barriers, or work together on a solution to make sure it's becoming easier to get over those barriers. It's all about the connectivity. I think someone mentioned it earlier, and it's also to make sure that those communities have a voice when it comes to reshaping the clinical trial ecosystem. So everything we've been telling you so far fit in that slide. Those are the 10 work package that we have in READI. We mentioned to you about the work package working on the definition of underserved, underrepresented community. We mentioned to you about the work package working on the site capability building, on the community connectivity, on the platform. We also have a work package looking at the protocol design and clinical operation, the educational and training material for the different stakeholders. And this, we're talking here about tailored educational session and trainings. All of this is going to get together with work package 7, which is the one for use cases. What this means is that this work package is where we're going to pressure test the methodology, the tools, the innovation that are being developed by the other work package, so that we can see the impact of what was designed previously. And then we have other work package at the bottom that are about ethical dimension, responsible research, data privacy. Work package 9 is also key because READI is a 6 years project with the goal that after 6 years, it's going to continue and it will be sustainable. So sustainability is already something that we're thinking about and that we're considering when we're setting up all those tools and innovation. So to go back, READI, going back to the challenge and the mission that Juliette mentioned, READI is designed to transform the clinical research ecosystem and capabilities with patient at the center. And what we mean here is they're not in the center and everyone is speaking around them. They're in the center, but they have an equal share of voice at the table. And also key stakeholders working together for more inclusive clinical studies in Europe. This next slide, so I don't know if Sam is still in the room. The panel before lunch, when we were saying we need to share more about our stories and how we're partnering and collaborating. So I want to bring you back, for those of you who were here, in 2022. On this stage, we had a panel discussion about inclusive research, focusing on the FDA guidance that was at the time a draft guidance. And as part of that panel, there was a discussion saying this is great for the US, but this guidance is focusing on the US population. What is diversity and inclusion? What is inclusive research in Europe? And in the room, like we have today, we had several partners from the industry and from other stakeholders group. And following the meeting, following that question, this is when we started getting together to come up with what is today known as Project READI. So in 6 years from now, I hope we're going to be back on this stage to show and share with you the outcome of this project. But I just wanted to highlight that it started with this panel discussion, and this is where we are today. So hopefully in a couple of years, we're going to have an even bigger and better story to share with you. And if you want to follow us,
thank you very much. We're going to dodge past the questions. But
okay.
I understood it's 18 countries, 73 organizations, all centered on patient centricity. We have Novartis and Roche here side by side. So this is a truly powerful initiative. I guess you guys will be busy in the break because I'm sure there will be questions. And I hope we'll see you sooner than in 6 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you.